success are invisible. Today, I've been told that success is all about luck or, raw talent. But what if the things that really drive success are invisible? Today, we're going to unpack 9 skills that you can actually learn. They work behind the scenes and they compound over time to give you a serious advantage. Okay, let's dive right into this because it's a huge distinction. See, talent might get you noticed. It might get you in the door, but it's your skill that keeps you in the room. That's what you build when nobody's watching. And ultimately, it's your character that gets you that next big opportunity. This right here, this really gets to the heart of what I call the talent trap. We all know someone who's brilliant but can't seem to get ahead. See, potential is not the same as performance. The real game are what we call radical reliability, radical responsibility, and having a bias toward action. Let's break down exactly what each of those means. First up, we're so often told that success is all about luck or, raw talent. But what if the things that really drive success are invisible? Today, we're going to unpack 9 skills that you can actually learn. They work behind the scenes and they compound over time to give you a serious advantage. Okay, let's dive right into this because it's a huge distinction. See, talent might get you noticed. It might get you in the door, but it's your skill that keeps you in the room. That's what you build when nobody's watching. And ultimately, it's your character that gets you that next big opportunity. This right here, this really gets to the heart of what I call the talent trap. We all know someone who's brilliant but can't seem to get ahead. See, potential is not the same as performance. The real game is developing the skills to actually use your gifts. So how do you actually get unstuck? Well, it all comes down to the compound effect. Success isn't an overnight thing. It's really just a lagging indicator of your daily habits. And the best part, the skills we're about to cover are totally free to learn. But ignoring them, well, that comes at a very high cost. All right, let's get into the first set of skills, the foundational skills. I want you to think of these as the absolute bedrock, the concrete slab for everything else you want to build in your life and your career. So the 3 pillars of this foundation are what we call radical reliability, radical responsibility, and having a bias toward action. Let's break down exactly what each of those means. First up, radical reliability. In a world that's just full of inconsistency, being the person who does what they say they're going to do is a massive advantage. Your word literally becomes your brand. That consistency is your greatest asset. It's about being someone people know they can count on, no matter what. Next up, radical responsibility. This is a huge mindset shift. It's about owning the outcome, period. When you stop playing the blame game and instead you ask, okay, what's my move here? You instantly take back control of the situation. Blame keeps you stuck. Responsibility is what sets you free. And the third foundational skill is all about momentum. A bias toward action means you get that a good plan you execute today is infinitely better than a perfect plan that just sits on a shelf. Let's be honest, overthinking is just a fancy word for procrastination. Progress will always beat perfection. Okay, so with our foundation in place, let's build on it with the connection skills. This is all about how you show up and interact with other people, presence, and what I call the art of the question. Let's talk about strategic calm. Pressure doesn't build character, it reveals it. When things go sideways, the person who can regulate their emotions and stay focused on solutions, that's the person who naturally becomes the leader. Calm isn't about the absence of stress, it's about mastering your response to it. Next is active presence. This is so much more than just hearing words. It's about making someone feel genuinely seen and understood. We've all been in that conversation, right? Where the other person is just waiting for their turn to speak. That's not listening. Real connection is one of the most valuable currencies you can have. This is such a key differentiator. Look, almost anyone can have an answer, but real wisdom, that lies in asking the right questions. Curiosity is an absolute superpower. Simple phrases like, hey, help me understand, can diffuse a tense situation and unlock insights you never would have found otherwise. And now for our final set of skills. This is the stuff that keeps you growing and relevant for the long haul. This is all about having a growth mindset. So here we're going to cover 3 skills that are absolutely essential for staying adaptable. High emotional intelligence, or EQ, ruthless clarity, and intellectual humility. Here's a crucial point. Your IQ might get you in the door, but it's your EQ, your emotional intelligence, that gets you promoted. It's about managing your own ego and being able to read the unspoken dynamics of a room. Empathy isn't weakness, it's valuable data. It's a true leadership skill. This slide is all about the power of simplicity. We're talking ruthless clarity. Ambiguity is the absolute graveyard of productivity. The ability to take a complex idea and explain it simply, that builds incredible trust and gets everyone moving in the same direction. And our final skill, intellectual humility. In a world that's changing this fast, the moment you think you know it all is the exact moment you become obsolete. You have to stay curious. You have to welcome feedback. And you have to keep that student mindset. Always be learning. It's the only way to succeed long term. Okay, so we've covered all 9 skills. But here's the thing. Knowledge is totally useless without action. So let's talk about how you can actually start applying these and how they work together to amplify each other. This is what's called skill stacking, and it's where the real magic happens. See, these skills don't work in a vacuum. When you combine radical reliability with ruthless clarity, what do you get? You get high trust. When you combine strategic calm with radical responsibility, people see you as a leader. This is how you create an effect that's way bigger than the sum of its parts. So let's just pause for a second and ask a tough question. What's the real cost of doing nothing? What actually happens if you just ignore all this and keep doing what you've always done? Well, the answer is kind of brutal, but it's also incredibly simple. Your future will look exactly like your present. And so the real question you have to ask yourself is that enough for you? All right, let's turn this into action right now. Take a look at this list again and be honest with yourself. Which one of these 9 skills is the anchor that's really holding you back? And more importantly, what's one tiny 5-minute thing you can do today to start getting better at it? And we'll end on this powerful thought. We all chase goals, right? But goals change.
Okay, so
markets shift, companies
unpack
fold. The only thing that
We have been
truly
handed
stays
a
with
stack
you
of
is
sources
who
today
you
that
become in the
focuses
process.
not on the flashy front of house abilities, but on what we are calling the invisible edge.
Right.
Our mission is a deep dive into the skills that quietly shape your success, your relationships, and really your peace of mind.
And this all came from a listener who sent in material outlining these 9, let's call them competencies, that are so often dismissed as soft skills.
Yes, soft skills that, as it turns out, yield surprisingly hard, measurable results.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We are here to execute a total perspective shift. I mean, the central conflict for most people is that they're chasing innate talent.
Right. Talent is visible, it gets all the attention.
It gets you the interview, maybe. But the sources are crystal clear. Skill earns trust. Talent is a head start, sure, but skill is the only thing that gets you across the finish line consistently.
And the sources are, well, they're pretty uncompromising about this. They note that life ultimately rewards consistent daily
behavior, not brilliant intentions.
Exactly, not intentions. The world is absolutely full of incredibly talented people who are stuck. They've got the spark, that raw genius, but they lack the fundamental fire.
You see this all the time. Think of the brilliant architect who can design a perfect structure, but, they consistently fail to reply to emails.
Or misses deadlines.
Misses deadlines, never clarifies budget issues.
Yeah.
That brilliant mind just stays trapped in a junior role because those invisible skills, reliability, clarity, responsibility, they're missing.
So that's why skill earns trust. Trust is built on predictability, not potential.
Precisely.
But here's the good news, and this is really the foundation of this entire deep dive. Anyone can learn these skills. The sources, even the ones you make to yourself.
Absolutely. Show up on time, and not just physically, but mentally prepared. And if for any reason plans have to change, you communicate immediately, early.
Never make your problem someone else's emergency.
That's it.
What's so fascinating here is the connection the sources draw between consistency and, of all things, charisma. They argue consistency is the highest form of charisma.
It makes perfect sense. People are drawn to those they can rely on. Reliability creates opportunity without you ever having to ask for it.
How so?
Think about it. Employers don't promote the most talented person in the room. They promote the most reliable.
Right.
Clients don't stick with the genius who misses deadlines. They stick with the solid professional who delivers time and time again. That predictability, that's the invisible edge.
So if reliability builds that external trust, skill number 2 is all about building internal power, radical responsibility.
This is a critical pivot. We're shifting the entire focus from external circumstances, the market, the boss, the bad luck, to your own internal control.
The sources really hammer this point home.
They do. Stop blaming. Ownership is power. When something goes wrong, the question shouldn't be, whose fault is this?
It should be, what is my move right now?
What is my move to solve this, regardless of who's at fault?
I mean, that reframing is so powerful. It just instantly removes the victim narrative.
It does. It flips a switch. The moment you take responsibility is the moment you gain control.
And by taking that initiative, by solving problems without waiting for permission, you become, well, indispensable.
You really do. Blame is a prison. You're just locked in waiting for things to change. Responsibility is the key.
But wait, the sources mention a friction point here. Isn't there a risk that taking on too much responsibility leads to burnout?
That's a great question, and it's a necessary clarification.
Especially for high achievers.
Yeah. The sources define responsibility not as doing everything, but as owning the outcome. And part of owning the outcome is setting healthy boundaries.
Okay.
If you take responsibility for a project, you also take responsibility for saying, I need more resources, or this deadline is impossible. It's owning the reality, not just the workload.
That makes sense. And it brings us perfectly to skill number 3, which is where ideas meet that reality, the bias toward action.
Execution beats strategy every single time.
This is where we confront procrastination head on.
And the sources don't pull any punches. They say overthinking is just procrastination in a suit.
I've met that person.
We all have. We know so many brilliant people who are just stuck because their whole identity is tied up in the idea of being brilliant. They wait for the perfect plan because they're afraid an imperfect action will expose them.
And this is exactly where they bring in the 70% rule.
Yes, the 70% rule is basically a license to move. If you have 70% of the information you need to make the next step, not the final one, just the next one, you move.
Because the risk of waiting for 100% is that the world moves on without you.
It already has. So you start small, you start now, and you use those first actions to get the next 10% of the data.
Progress beats perfection. Always. Done is so much better than perfect, but never started.
All right, let's shift gears. Section 2, pressure, presence, and perspective. These are the skills for real leadership and connection.
We kick it off with skill number 4, strategic calm.
And let's be clear, calm is not a personality trait. It's a leadership skill. In a crisis, the person with the lowest heart rate wins.
And the key is creating that pause.
That deliberate pause, that space between the stimulus and your response, that's where all your power lives. You have to focus on solutions, not the panic.
And the sources mention the psychology here. Pressure reveals character. And when chaos rises, that calm becomes almost magnetic. The calm person becomes the leader by default.
It's emotional contagion. If you, as the lead, start raising your voice or look stressed, you're signaling to everyone that the situation is out of control.
So even if you don't feel it, you have to project it.
You have to. Controlling your tone, your body language, it signals to the room, we've got this.
Skill number 5 is active presence. The sources call this a superpower.
Connection is the ultimate currency. And the goal isn't just to be heard, it's to make people feel seen.
Seen, that's a great way to put it.
It's about genuine validation. Listening is not just waiting for your turn to speak. It's being deeply interested, not just trying to be interesting.
And they point out these simple behaviors that are such high-value gestures. Remembering names, following up on a small detail from your last conversation.
Or acknowledging the effort someone put in, not just the final result. People will remember how you made them feel long after they've forgotten what you said.
Absolutely. Which leads to skill number 6, the art of the question.
Curiosity opens doors. The sources propose that smart people answer, but truly wise people know how to ask.
It's a huge distinction, isn't it?
Massive. Instead of trying to prove what you know, you should be trying to understand. Ask why before you ask how.
And they mentioned a specific technique for this.
The 5 whys. It forces you to dig past the surface problem. So a client is unhappy. Why? Because the delivery was late. Why was it late? The file wasn't ready. Why wasn't it ready?
And you keep going until you hit the root cause.
Which is usually a communication failure or a training issue, not just a technical glitch.
And in a conflict, that phrase, help me understand.
It's unbelievably powerful. It just forces everyone to drop their defenses and actually solve the problem.
Learning starts with humility.
Which sets the stage perfectly for skill 7, high emotional intelligence, or EQ, reading the room and reading yourself.
This is about noticing the unsaid, right? The body language, the tension.
Yes, but it's also about managing your own internal state. your anger, your stress, and especially your ego. The sources just keep coming back to the ego as the biggest obstacle.
And in today's world, how do you read a room when the meeting is on Zoom?
That's the thing. You have to tune into the tone in an email or a Slack message. You have to respond to the implied stress, not just the words on the screen.
Empathy isn't weakness, it's data.
It's the most valuable data you can get. IQ might get you the job, but EQ gets you the corner office. It determines your relationships.
All right, final section. Clarity and growth. Skill number 8, ruthless clarity.
Clarity builds trust. The sources say complexity is easy. Simplicity is incredibly hard work.
If you can't explain your idea to a 6-year-old, you probably don't understand it yourself.
Exactly. This skill demands you say what you mean in the fewest words possible, and you have to eliminate those weak phrases.
I think, maybe, sort of,
Get rid of them. Speak with conviction.
because the cost of not doing this is huge. Ambiguity is, and I love this quote from the sources, the graveyard of productivity.
Oh, it is. Think of all the endless email chains and follow-up meetings, all because someone was afraid to be crystal clear in the first place.
Most conflicts stem from poor communication.
And that leads us to the final one, skill number 9, intellectual humility, the student mindset.
Growth has to be a daily habit. This is about being willing to kill your darlings, letting go of old ideas or processes that used to work but don't anymore.
You have to embrace feedback. View it as free consulting. Someone is giving you high-value data about your own blind spots.
The world changes too fast. If you stop learning, you fall behind. Quietly.
And your rate of learning directly determines your rate of earning. It's a constant update.
Okay, let's pivot now, because here's where it gets really interesting. These 9 skills don't work in isolation. They're a system, a skill stack.
Yes, and you can see these clear synergies in the SORC material. For example, combine radical reliability with ruthless clarity. What do you get?
High trust.
I trust. People know you'll deliver and they know exactly what you're delivering. No guesswork.
Or what about strategic calm plus radical responsibility?
That's leadership. Rock solid leadership. You own the problem and you handle the crisis without panicking the team.
And the last one they call out is curiosity, the art of the question, paired with a bias toward action.
That's innovation. You're constantly asking why, and then you're immediately moving to test solutions.
So as we wrap this up, let's connect this analysis directly back to you, the listener. It's time for a quick self-audit.
Yes. We want you to ask yourself 2 really honest questions. First, which of these 9 skills is your anchor right now?
The one holding you back.
The one that's tripping you up most often. Is it a lack of clarity? Is it poor presence?
And then the flip side, which skill is your engine, your current strength that you can really lean into?
And then you have to face the cost of inaction. What does your life look like in 5 years if you don't work on these? The sources suggest it looks a lot like today, just with more regret.
That's a sobering thought.
It is, but it's important. Goals are external. They change. Companies fold, markets shift. But your skills, they're internal.
They're who you become.
They're the only thing that can't be taken away from you.
So what does this all mean? The final powerful message from all this material is this: master the invisible, and the visible success will follow. What is one small 5-minute action related to one of these skills that you will commit to taking today?
Go build your edge.